I'm so thrilled today to have the gorgeous Sarah Rowan on the Raw Success podcast. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks for having me on, Stacey.
You can't hear this on a podcast. I mean, you can't see this on a podcast, obviously, because it's a hearing audio medium. But Sarah is surrounded with gorgeous artworks of her own. I'm
Thank
assuming, I'm
you.
assuming of your own.
Yeah,
Um,
they're speed paintings of mine.
they're absolutely gorgeous. For people who have never seen you speed paint, tell us about that process. And I'm also really keen to know how the speed part of it came into being. Were you always just super quick, or was it a skill that you had to learn to differentiate yourself in the market? Tell me everything.
Okay, I can do that. So I never thought I'd be a painter or an artist. I was a big time athlete in high school and I was training all the time. But then as part of my basketball career dreams, I went to Brazil and was teaching kids basketball before I went off to university. And I was like, oh my God, it's kind of really hard to teach basketball in a different language. So I found myself doing little stick figure drawings to communicate. And when I saw the barrier of language broken immediately through stick figures, I was like, this is powerful. This is beautiful. So I ended up going to university for an art degree, even though I'd only dabbled in like little drawings and stuff at home prior to that. I hadn't really had an art class. My graduating class in high school had 27 students. So, needless to say, my art class consisted of blue and yellow make green.
Yeah. Wow.
I got my art degree and I was like, oh no, they don't really teach you how to make a living with this awesome, fancy, expensive degree. Now what do I do? So I just started realizing I really enjoyed communicating with people and I wasn't afraid of that. And a lot of artists were intimidated to speak publicly or entertain. And I thought, well, you know what? I've never seen someone perform as an artist. Never heard of it. It was back in 2004, so I'm going on 20 years now. And I just went up to a venue and I was like, can I paint while a band plays music at this venue? And they're like, we've never heard of that. I was like, I haven't either. And the next thing I know, I'm on stage and there are 4,000 people there to hear this band. And I was just shitting myself. I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrifying. It's exciting. It's fun. And it just, yeah, it caught on. And the speed part literally just came to the fact where I was one of those people that over analyzed every brushstroke. I wanted perfection and I realized it was killing my soul. So I thought, you know what? People love the journey and process of art. Let them see it, let them enjoy it, and let them buy it before they go home. That's a great business plan.
I love that. I love that. You're exactly right. When I think of art that I have seen, have been exposed to, the making of it is not part of the experience. It's only the finished product. And there is so much goodness in that journey and in what you do. How does it feel doing such a personal art form in front of people? Like I can't even imagine the nerves.
I was really surprised how much the nerves have continued on in 20 years. Like if I
Wow.
have 5 minutes on stage, sometimes I only have three. There is this pressure, especially yes, since I do a lot of fundraisers, I'll have 10 minutes on stage and there's a pressure for that 10 minutes to turn into $10,000 for that charity. Yes, there's pressure, but I've learned to lean into it. I've learned to see the fear as excitement. I recently, like this year, I got to perform at the NBL Awards, the MVP.
Yeah,
I'm on
beautiful.
stage with one of my childhood basketball heroes, Scottie Pippen, and I was told, you've got to paint him in 8 minutes. And I was surprised how relaxed I was on stage that I had to tell myself, Sarah, you have 6 more minutes. You have to paint faster. But I was enjoying the moment. I was reveling in the be here now uh, thing that I really emphasize in my life. And it was just so much fun. And to see that joy transferred to other people, where other people come up to me and I can see that I have refilled their cup
Mm.
and that I've given them joy is one of the most liberating and joyful experiences. And now I've taken that into keynote speeches and I speak on creativity and business for companies, wall painting, right? And just to see the human interaction is beautiful.
So did Scottie Pippen love your picture?
Yeah, he absolutely loved it. And
Oh, great.
I shook his hand. I like basically put my hand above my head to shake his head. He's
Wow.
it was great.
That's awesome. And that kind of obviously exposure for yourself as an artist for your business is awesome. Talk to us about the keynote speaking part of it, because creativity is I'm a big fan of Liz Gilbert and her books on
Huge.
creativity and
Big magic.
business. Oh,
Yeah.
Big Magic. I could read
So
Big
good.
Magic every year and still learn something
Yes.
new every time. So that part of it, obviously, um, I'm assuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the keynote speaking part, connecting that business and creativity together, is part of the business strategy. It's part of the
Mhm.
how do I be an artist and create this portfolio as an artist and also make money whilst doing it. Can you talk to us about how that has kind of evolved?
How it first started was I would be speed painting and I'd always ask, hey, can I please connect with the audience for 60 to 90 seconds? Right. And I couldn't count how many times over the years, because I've done over 500 events, people would come up to me and say, you are the most fascinating person to listen to, not only to watch, but we loved that 1 minute that you spoke with us. We wanted to hear more. And so I started just growing. I spent and invested time and money into learning the craft of keynote speeches, the business of it, and it definitely has continued to evolve and I'm growing in it. But it's really powerful because I've been speaking on the importance of creativity in business for years, but it wasn't until COVID that my message really hit home for a lot of companies, because CEOs are like, oh my goodness, if our people aren't innovative, if they're not curious, if they're not creative, we will go under.
Mm.
And all of a sudden there was a market for what I'd been saying for years and
Yeah.
years. And and so now in this day and age of AI and people are nervous about, will I still have a job next year? I get to bring that message in a hopeful way and saying, hey, if you have the ability to be curious and innovative, even if your job title changes or anything, you'll be able to weather whatever your career looks like because you'll be useful. But if you can't be adaptive in an environment, and if your brain has been like put in this little box where you don't think you're creative, which I think is complete bullshit. If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have a creative bone in my body, you do.
Yeah.
It just is sleeping maybe at the moment. And you just need to wake it up with some real simple, easy methods.
I love that idea of it sleeping, because for me, my immediate go-to is like, it's been pushed down, it's been like drowned out. I was creative when I was a child, but now I'm an adult and I have to, adult all the time and I don't have time to be
Yeah.
creative. I love that idea that it's sleeping, because it seems very possible for me to wake that side of me up. And I have been having this conversation. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and we had to do lettering yoga. We had to sign, like create our own signature.
Oh,
And
cool.
for 40 minutes we all had to, close our laptops, get a pencil and paper and try and be creative. And so many of us really struggled with that because it's not something that we do all of the time. What hints and tips do you have for entrepreneurs who are perhaps really stuck in that kind of hustle of growing their business, and but could really benefit from a little creative spark in order to be innovating in their business and therefore still growing their business? What advice do you have, or what hints and tips do you have for those people listening?
Oh, this is one of my favorite things to share because it is so simple. We overcomplicate everything, right? It's like drink your water, get some exercise, get some sun every day. It's um I always liken it to a metaphor because I'm a very visual learner. So I'm a very visual teacher. So I want you, wherever you're listening to this, picture yourself in your week and your Monday and your Tuesday and your Wednesday, right? You get up, you get in this routine. Sometimes they're really healthy and you do a little exercise or something, and you put your clothes on the exact same way you've been putting them on since you were a kid. You tie your shoes the same way. You brush your teeth with the same hand you've always brushed your teeth with, and you sign your emails. Let me guess. Kind regards. Uh, you do everything like the same and you eat the same meals. You take the same route to work. And at the end of the day, you wonder why you're frustrated, miserable, cranky with the kids. You're arguing with your partner and you're just desperate for like that vacation you've planned for next year or something. And you're always thinking about the future of when you'll get a break from the mundane. And I think in order to increase our creativity, we need to break that mundane because that mundane literally ends up looking like we're flatlining. It looks like we are dragging our coffin through life, and it looks like we are living zombies. Because if you're over 35, 98% of our life is in the subconscious. It means we're not really present.
Mm.
And so I always encourage people to break up that mundane, to put a little spice in that flat line of your life. Put your clothes on, a different leg first. Just don't sue me when you almost fall over. Try different foods. Order a different coffee, take a different route to work. I've had people hear me and they've literally sent me photographs of them jogging a different way around a pond that they've jogged for years. They're like, "Oh my goodness, I saw buildings I hadn't seen before." Because you just need that little routine broken up. If you find yourself, always arguing with your kids, your partner, when was the last time you moved the furniture in the house? Does it look like you're in the same place all the time? Like, I have my kids every other week, and I make sure I move something before they get back that week. I have moved a plant, a jar, a doohickey, whatever they're called, that tchotchkes that collect dust. I'll dust it and I'll move it so that they come home and just it's like a new little experience and a place for them to be. And just make it fun. I think our lives are so boring as adults. We make it so serious. And I know I'm lucky because I get to paint all day, so I feel like a kid all day. But I also have boring emails. Half of my life is admin. I get it. It's exhausting. So make it fun. I have this friend that she found the most boring part of her admin life was taking pictures of her receipts to send to the account.
Oh.
So she makes sure she takes fun ones. She'll take a weird selfie with it. She'll be walking her dog and pull a receipt out and she'll take a picture while the dog's shitting. And and now that is now the most exciting part of her accountant's day because the receipts he's receiving or she's receiving they're humorous. They're do
Love it.
you can find something that drives you nuts and choose this week to find a way to make it fun.
Oh,
Mic
I'm
drop.
excited. I'm excited already to put my clothes on in the opposite direction.
It's hard. It's really hard. I was putting a jacket on the other day. I'm like, practice what you preach, Sarah. And I,
Yeah.
I looked like I was injured. I was just like trying to get my arm through and I couldn't figure it out. It was so funny. It just takes
I
that.
love
It
it.
makes you present. It makes you
Yeah.
present in the moment.
Yeah. And you are so right. Like I felt so seen when you were talking because there are so many elements of um our lives. And as entrepreneurs, we luckily a lot of the time get to choose how we spend our time, where we're going to work from and how many hours a day we're going to work and what things we're going to do and not do. But there is that consistency and that mundaneness that makes us feel like we're in a fog sometimes. So I love the idea of lifting that fog and being able to just change little things that it's not going to revolutionize the world for me to brush my teeth with my left hand, but boy, am I going to have to be present to do it? Am I going to have to be in the moment? And I think it's a
Exactly.
beautiful
Exactly.
message to pass on to your kids as well because they go to school 5 days a week and they can, you know, get to feeling that same kind of mundaneness
Right.
too.
Right.
So
And we find
beautiful
ourselves,
advice.
thank you. And we find ourselves more creative when we're happy. And doing those little things often will increase the hormone levels in your body and get the blood flowing and you'll be more present. And it's the little things. It's kind of, I got bees tattooed on my arm because I want to remind myself it's the little things that if we didn't have bees, we wouldn't exist, right? So it's the little things in relationships that matter. It's the little things that we overlook and take for granted that are make a huge difference long term.
Yeah, I love it. So you've entered the Raw Awards for 2024. Talk to me about what the awards process has been like for you and why you felt inclined to enter.
Well, I love entering award things because one, it's really annoying to fill out all that paperwork, right? But it makes me think about why I do what I do, and it makes me articulate how I'm improving. And every year when I enter an award, I'm like, wait, what did I do better for the environment this year that I did last year? How am I better for my community than I was last year? So I literally
Yeah.
do it as my little self-health check of my business because every year it makes me question and make sure, because then I go, wait, I want to make sure I give more to my community next year. So I've got something new to put in that
Yeah.
paragraph, you know?
Something better to write.
No, I think for me, it really is a great way of personal growth. But I saw it because a friend of mine, Annette Densham, I don't know if she won. She wins everything, but she entered, and I saw
Fabulous.
her photo, and I was like, "Ooh, I haven't heard of that one before." Uh, so I entered, and I was so excited because there's a Creative of the Year category, which none of the business awards ever usually have that category, and I'm always entering the weird sole proprietor or something, and I'm like, oh, I don't really fit in any category. It's just I feel awkward. So I felt like, oh my goodness, this is my people, the creatives. So yeah, I got excited, and I can't make it because I've got like I've got 2 kids, and then my girlfriend, she has 5. So I usually try not to travel when you have 7 teenagers and my daughter's going through HSC, unless it's like work related that's paying for me to come. So if you want me to come perform, pull me up there. Otherwise, I'll pay to have my trophy shipped out if I win.
Beautiful. I love that. You're so true. Like the amount of reflection that you're forced to do by answering all of those questions,
Yeah.
and the amount of decisions that I find myself making from year to year. Exactly like you said, like, what am I doing better for my community at the moment? What am I doing for the environment? I want to have something better to write about when it comes up next year. So what can I do? I just find that it's like your own, performance management review that
Oh,
you
it's
do for
great, especially
yourself,
when
for
you
your
work for
business.
yourself and you don't have someone breathing down your throat wanting all these charts, and you don't have all the charts, and you're like, oh, did I actually make more this past 12 months? I don't even know. I haven't looked. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah. It forces you to look at reality.
yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Oh, bring them on.
What advice would you give to your younger self when you were starting out in business? What does 2004 Sarah need to know?
It doesn't have to be perfect before you start, and authenticity trumps everything.
Beautiful. What's your favorite app on your phone?
Instagram, because I love putting out inspirational reels, and I love watching them.
I love that you just said it like flat out and loud and proud, because so many people, when their answer to this question in rapid fire, and I'm just like tangenting here, but so many people's answer is like Facebook, Instagram, like it's kind of said apologetically, but it's so important for business, and it's also so enjoyable if you're following cool people. So thank you for saying it like Instagram.
Well, because
I stand by it.
I stand by it. It's like I get nervous with social media because I don't want it to suck out my soul. But at the end of the day, I've got family overseas. It's how I get to actually see what my nephews look like. Like, I mean, come on. It has its purpose, it has its goal, as long as we don't just get owned by it.
Mm,
I enjoy it.
absolutely. What's the last TV show you binged and loved?
Oh, I'm in 3 at the moment because I've watched one on my own while I'm painting, one with my girlfriend, and one with my daughter. So, oh my
Hit
goodness.
us. What have you got?
Okay, at the moment, with the girlfriend, it's Orange is the New Black. With my daughter, it is the Umbrella Academy.
Oh,
And on my own, when I'm painting, I'm really into sci-fi, and it's a bit gory but fascinating. Plot line is Altered Carbon.
oh, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's I'm really into technology and where it's advancing. So I got weird, quirky ideas when you watch what they think the world might look like in 200 years.
Beautiful. I love it. And finally, what excites you about the next phase of your journey?
Oh my goodness, everything. I think life is freaking magical. It was like shit for 20 years. The first 20 years, or actually, yeah, first 20 years of my like adulthood was horrible, it was hard. And then I hit 40 and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love me. It's okay to be me. I'm gonna be me.
How
So
good is that? Say that again. That is so great.
I love me. I love being me. I love just every aspect of this wonderful adventure journey we call life, even the shit days. I'm like, you know what? I learned something. I'm breathing. I might not have been able to fill up my gas tank and pay rent all in the same day, but you know what? I get to do what I love. I have surround myself with good, awesome people. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful world we live in. Let's make it better.
I love it. What a beautiful way to end. Where can we find you? Obviously on Instagram. Give us your Instagram handle, but also do you have other places where can we see your work?
Girl,
I'm
girl,
busting to
girl.
see this Scottie Pippen painting.
Okay, artistsarahrowan.com. Artist Sarah Rowan for LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube. The only one I couldn't get that same handle was for Twitter, which I never put on anyway, but it's Sarah Rowan Art. If you're there, I might see you there once every 6 months. Yeah. I'm
Beautiful.
Facebook, Artist Sarah Rowan, just everything.
I love it. Sarah, thank you so much for spending time with us on the Raw Success podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Stacey.